Hello and welcome again. In today's video, we will try to understand how quantum mechanics, the very foundation of quantum computing, emerged from the limitations of classical physics, how quantum computing has evolved using the principle of quantum mechanics. We will deeply understand the phenomena of superposition and entanglement, which are the basic pillars of quantum computing. So let's start. Let's go back to the history to early 20th century, where it was believed that all the phenomena in the universe could be explained using classical physics. We have Newton's law, which predicts motion of objects from tiny balls to massive planets. We have Maxwell's wave equation, which gave us window to the world of waves and very correctly predict the motion of a wave. The world seems very simple and predictable, but very soon some curious anomalies challenged this tidy framework. Some experiments happened which gave us the results which could not be explained using the classical theory. Let us see some of them. The first one in the list was mysterious case of black body radiation. A black body in physics is an idealized object that absorbs all the radiation which falls on it. In classical physics, we use Rayleigh-Jean law to predict how much energy should an object like this radiate. As you can see, the energy is inversely proportional to wavelength which it absorbs. Now, as the wavelength approaches zero, means as we go to the ultraviolet part of the spectrum or beyond that, this law gave a ridiculous conclusion that a black body theoretically can emit infinite amount of energy, which is definitely not what we observe in experiments. This is what we call ultraviolet catastrophe, and it was our first hint that there was something missing in the classical view which we need to tackle. And here enter a brilliant scientist, Max Planck, which was very desperate to solve this ultraviolet catastrophe, and he proposed a daring hypothesis that energy is not a smooth wave but made up of tiny particles which he called quanta. This very simple but revolutionary idea fits very well with the experimental result and changed our understanding on its head, and it sets the stage for new quantum age. We consider another. Next on the list was photoelectric effect, a phenomenon where light falls on the metal surface, the electrons of the metal absorb the energy and it get ejected from the metal surface. But classical physics failed to explain why energy of these electrons didn't correlate with the intensity of the incident light. Also, why light below certain frequencies is not able to eject electron from the metal surface. And here enter Einstein, who was inspired from the Planck's quanta theory, proposed that light itself is made up of tiny particles which he called photons. His proposition not only explained the photoelectric effect but also suggested a universe where wave and particle are not two entirely separate entities, but they are two sides of the same coin. Then there was another pivotal experiment that has reshaped our understanding of quantum world, the Young's double slit experiment. Here we have a wall which has two slits, and we have a screen. Suppose we have a gun which throws bullet onto this wall, which passes through the slits and reach to the screen, and we see the pattern on the screen. Now suppose you have covered the slit 2 and the bullet passes through the slit 1. As it passes through the slit 1, it goes straight and hit the screen at a particular point. Now, there could be a small variation in the angle of incident or some air perturbation, and due to that, instead of hitting all the bullet at exactly same point, they get spread out slightly and we get a bell-shaped curve, which in physics we call a normal or a Gaussian distribution. Now suppose we cover the slit 1 and open the slit 2. Here we get the same bell-shaped curve opposite to the slit 2. Now suppose the case where both slits are open. Now both slits will act as individual independent particle launcher. Means bullet can either pass through slit 1 or pass through slit 2, but they cannot pass through both the slits, and there is no interaction between bullets, so each slit acts as independent particle launcher, creating their own bell-shaped curve opposite to slit 1 and opposite to slit 2 for particle which were entered from the slit 1 or slit 2 respectively. So the pattern on the screen is nothing but just the sum of these two Gaussian distributions. Now consider a wave. A wave is nothing but energy that travels through a medium. You can imagine ripples which are produced when you throw a stone in still water. Each ripple represents a wave which is traveling through water. So wave in its essence is oscillation which goes up and down. The upper part we call it as crust and the lower part we call it as trough. And the distance between two consecutive crust or two consecutive trough is what we say wavelength of the wave. Now depending upon the wavelength of the wave and the slit width, it can produce different results in single slit experiment. Like if the slit width is very large comparable to the wavelength of the wave just goes straight to the screen and produce a very clear image of the slit. But if the slit width is comparable to the wavelength of light, something magical happens. Instead of going straight to screen, it bends around the edge of the slit. This bending of light around the edges of slit, what we call diffraction. With single slit open, the bending of light around the corner of the slit give us a pattern on the screen with alternate dark and light bands. Now consider the case when both slits are open. Each slit acts as a source of a wave, and the wave from slit 1 and slit 2 can combine with each other and produce the interference pattern. If crust of one wave falls on crust of other, it will give a constructive interference, means the intensity is very high in this case, and we will get a bright line onto the screen. And if trough of one falls on the trough of other wave, we will get a dark band. This beautiful alternate pattern of light and dark band is very different from that what we got in the single slit case. Also, with both slit open, the intensity is not just the algebraic sum of both the intensities as we got in the particle case. Here it involves some complex term which is the inherent nature of wave. When we repeat the double slit experiment with electrons, as you know, electron is a particle, so what we expect two cluster of heads on the screen, just like as the case of bullet. But instead of that, something very unexpected happened. Instead of two cluster, it gives several lines forming a pattern which was very similar to that of wave. Means instead of going through either the slit 1 or the slit 2 without any interaction and forming two different clusters, it behaved like waves which were bended, overlapped and interacted, producing a pattern of light and dark band. So what actually happened is, instead of behaving like particle, electron behaved like wave, and these electron wave, instead of passing through either the slit 1 or the slit 2, can pass through both the slits simultaneously, creating two different waves which then interacted with each other and produced a pattern which was very similar to that of wave of light. The ability of electron to behave like wave and be present at both the slit at the same time is what we call a superposition. The concept which we see deep in next few slides. So these experiments demonstrated how light can behave like particle, or how a particle like electron can behave like wave, but how something can be both particle and wave. And here comes Louis de Broglie, who gave us the concept of wave-particle duality. This principle suggested that any particle or a quantum entity can exhibit both wave-like and particle-like behavior. They have the probability of being present in multiple states, which can be mathematically represented by wave equation associated with the particle. Now, how this all tied to quantum computing? Quantum computing uses basic principles of quantum mechanics to perform operations at incredibly high speed and with great efficiency. How? In quantum computing, data is encoded in terms of qubit or quantum bit, which is made up of electrons or photons. A classical bit can exist in either 0 or 1 state, but a qubit, which is made up of these electrons or photons, can exist in multiple states thanks to the principle of superposition, which came directly from this wave-particle duality. A qubit uses their wave-like behavior to be in multiple states at once and uses their particle-like interactions to perform operations. This fundamental nature allows quantum computer to process vast array of possibilities simultaneously, a feat which is unachievable by classical computer. The theoretical possibility of quantum computer was first discussed by Richard Feynman in 1981 in a seminar which was held at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. With his paper titled Simulating Physics with Computer, he explained that simulating quantum system on classical computer is insufficient and we need quantum simulator to perform a quantum simulation. So he proposed the idea of building a quantum computer that is based on the principle of quantum mechanics to perform quantum simulations. Let's explore the basic principle of quantum mechanics, superposition and entanglement a little bit deeper. What if I ask you to have a look at this picture and tell me what you see? Some of you will tell me it is a duck and some will say it is a rabbit. Now close your eyes and explain about this picture. You will say you saw a picture having image of both a duck and a rabbit. But when you open your eyes and try to see it, you can only see either a duck or a rabbit. You cannot see both at the same time. The scenario very similar to the superposition in quantum mechanics. When we say a quantum system is in superposition state, we mean that a quantum system is present in multiple states at the same time. But when you try to measure it, just like when you try to see the image, you see only one aspect. You can see either a duck or a rabbit. When we try to measure a quantum system, it collapses to only one of the possible states. Now imagine you flip a coin and the coin is in air. Now as long as the coin is in air, it is present in both a head and tail state until you catch the coin and you tries to measure it. You tries to see what you got. You got a head or a tail. And this is where a quantum system collapses to only one of the possible states. Now suppose you have a maze and your aim is to find the quickest path from point A to point B. There could be numerous possibilities. Now, how a quantum computer works? It works just like a single person. It checks all the possibilities one by one until it finds the best route. This sequential operation could be time consuming and inefficient, especially when the maze grows more and more complex. Now, imagine this problem being solved by a quantum computer. Thanks to the principle of superposition, a quantum computer can check each potential possibilities at once, means it can check all the pathways in a single go. This parallel exploration allows quantum computer to find best route in a very short period of time. Let us consider it in another way. Suppose you are in a library where you have 10,000 books and you want to find a particular book. Now how will you find? You check every book one by one until you find the book which you want. Now this is exactly how a classical computer works, sequentially checking each possibilities one by one. Now suppose you have the ability to make clone of yourself. You would make your 10,000 clones, and now each book is being checked by a different clone. Now in this massive library you can instantly find the book which you need. This is how quantum computer works, and this ability to handle multiple possibilities at once allows quantum computer to perform complex operations at a very high speed which a classical computer cannot do, like factoring large number or optimizing complex problems. A classical computer would take years to complete. A quantum computer can solve the problem in fraction of seconds or in minutes. Imagine two particles that have interacted in such a way that state of one particle is directly dependent on the state of other, no matter how far it has traveled away. This connection is what we call quantum entanglement, and it is most intriguing aspect of quantum mechanics. Let us explore it further. To have an analogy, just imagine two dancers who have rehearsed so well that even when they are blindfolded, they can mirror each other move perfectly. Or in the library case, you can imagine when one clone finds the book, all other clones instantly know that the book has been found. There is no need for the discovering clone to call or message the other clones. They just know by their own that the book has been found and can report immediately back. This is just like how entangled particle behave. When we measure state of one particle, the state of other particle is instantly known regardless of the distance separating them. In quantum computing, this allows a very fast communication between qubits and result in a very high processing speed. In quantum teleportation, it uses the concept of entanglement to transmit the state of qubit from one location to other without moving the physical particle itself. Entanglement acts like a bridge carrying a quantum information instantly across vast distances. Whereas superdense coding, another technique that allows two classical bits of information to be sent using only one entangled qubit pair, thus effectively doubling the channel's capacity. Entanglement here facilitates more efficient information transfer. In quantum key distribution, entanglement ensures a very high security of the data. So, with dual nature of particles in superposition, allowing quantum computer to perform complex operation at an unimaginable high speed, and entanglement, a phenomenon that ensures secure and instant communication between qubits, we close our today's lecture. Thank you.